Hello everybody and welcome to another video on the Pole Position YouTube channel. In this video we are going to be discussing Valtteri Bottas and if he can beat Lewis Hamilton for the Drivers' Championship this season. I feel like I've done a couple of these videos over the last 2 years, but I'm going to go into it again. Without further ado, let's get into it. So yes, as I've said, I feel like I've done a couple of these videos over the last few years. I did one last year, can Bottas beat Lewis Hamilton? And I said he could, and obviously he finished the season with the worst points ratio against his teammate since he's been at Mercedes. So obviously it wasn't the best year for Valtteri Bottas, but this year round, do I think it will be any different? We've obviously seen the launch for the Mercedes team. We've seen Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas unveiled at the same time with their new race outfits on, although they do look very similar to what they had last year. And obviously we saw in terms of the interview questions, was asked to Valtteri, has he taken any positives, has he learned things over the winter? Obviously he said he has, and he's got more confidence going into this season. And I think halfway through the year last year, because it was such a short season, after maybe Germany, I think he realised he'd lost the championship. And I think it's very difficult if you're a driver that obviously you're going to still be getting podiums and possibly race wins, but if you know you're that far away from your teammate and you're not going to be the Drivers' Championship, going to be the Drivers' Champion for another season, it must hurt. So I feel like he had the last 4 to 5 races to really contemplate that, and I think it must have hurt for him again to know that Lewis Hamilton beat him for another season. So I think when you go into the winter and you start January, February time again, you're obviously on 0 points, or everyone's on 0 points, let's start the season again. And I think Valtteri's in that mindset. He looks positive, he looks confident. He wasn't really messing about in his questions as usual, which is always funny. I'm still going to be somebody that expects that Valtteri's going to give him a good run for his money this season in terms of Lewis Hamilton. Obviously I've mentioned in a previous video, can Hamilton win his 8th championship? And obviously I've said in that video that I expect that he would, and that's simply going off what we've seen over the past few years of sort of Lewis Hamilton, I don't want to say domination, but he has been sort of the one that you'd expect to win every race weekend due to what he can get out of that car and his sort of perfect reliability as well. Like I've mentioned before, he hardly gets any DNFs, whereas Valtteri is the complete opposite. So obviously I've mentioned in that I expect Lewis Hamilton will win the championship for this season again, but then how can I say that Valtteri Bottas is going to win also? I think again, I'm going to go on to that. I feel Valtteri can give Lewis a run for his money, and I'd like to see Valtteri win the championship this season. But I think after the few years of saying it and then, obviously it not coming true, maybe I should do the opposite this year and say I think Lewis Hamilton's going to win it, and then Valtteri might try and prove my point wrong. But deep down, obviously, I'm hoping that the Finnish driver does beat Lewis Hamilton. But obviously, we've got, I don't want to say equal opportunity, but I think Red Bull will be a lot stronger this season, and obviously they've got a new driver lineup of Verstappen and Perez as well, which I think will only help them fight Mercedes more during the race season. So I think it's going to be more difficult for Lewis Hamilton to win the championship this season, and I think Valtteri Bottas will play a key role in that. Obviously, both of them have only 1-year contracts, so Bottas is again going into that final year of his contract, as it were. And I think Toto Wolff mentioned it during the sort of car launch that Valtteri has got used to this, that it's a 1-year contract thing, but he said he thrives on it because obviously he needs to create good performances to earn that next contract halfway through the season, really, as it were. So just looking at what we have at the start of the season, we obviously have the Bahrain Grand Prix, then we have a race in Italy, but we don't know where yet, and then obviously we have a to-be-confirmed race, which everyone's guessing is Portimao, and then Spain, Monaco, Azerbaijan and Canada. So they're the first 7 races. If Valtteri Bottas, because he did quite well in the first race in Bahrain, I won't mention the second one because obviously that was quite difficult, and obviously there was pit stop issues when it was the Sakir Grand Prix, and it looked like George Russell had the better of him that that weekend, which wasn't great for Valtteri's confidence. But like I said, I think during the end of the season he'd already known that he's not going to win, so it's going to be very difficult for him. So I think if he can start the season well and against his teammate, and then like I said, Red Bull start the season well as well, it might put a bit more pressure on Lewis Hamilton to really go on that. He's been discussing about what he wants to do in the future, so how long we've got Lewis Hamilton in the sport, we don't know. So I think if Valtteri can take it to him in the first 7 races, say, and it puts more pressure on Lewis Hamilton, we will truly see what Hamilton can do against, say, Bottas, Verstappen and Perez. So this is just a short video in terms of can Valtteri Bottas win the championship? I'm going to say no, but you all know that I'm just hoping that he proves me wrong. I still think Lewis Hamilton probably will be an 8-time world champion by the end of the season and be the highest ranked in terms of stats, and maybe that will be the ending of Lewis Hamilton in terms of the actual racing in the sport, and he goes on to do something different. Who knows? But yeah, I think Valtteri has got the potential to beat Lewis Hamilton this season, but will he actually? Let me know in the comment section below. Do you think Valtteri Bottas actually has a real shot of beating Lewis Hamilton this season? And if not, who do you think really is going to pose a threat to the British racing driver this year? Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care. See you soon.